All right, welcome everyone. I'm Evan Ferrillo, a member of Leadership Medina County's Lead Institute class of 2025 and the Technology Services Coordinator for Medina County District Library. Thank you for joining us for our first session of the 2025 Nonprofit Lunch and Learn series. With OSU Extension, Jobs for Ohio Graduates, and That Place for Teens. Today's program is made possible by the following civic-minded organizations. We have Westfield Bank, RPM International, Cleveland Clinic, Medina Hospital, Rico Manufacturing, Sandridge Crafted Foods, Huntington Bank, Revolution Trucking, and the Medina County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Thank you for leading the way and bringing conversations like these to life. Since we only have an hour to showcase these three incredible nonprofits, we will share our speakers' bios in the chat today. So let's review some housekeeping and get started. If you have questions during the session, please send them privately to me in the chat or in the general chat. I won't use your name when referring to a question. And without further ado, we have speaker number one, Kyle White from OSU Extension.
Thanks, Evan. I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started here. So welcome everybody. My name is Kyle White and I'm a community development educator for the Ohio State University Office of Extension in Medina County. Normally about this time, I would say how many of you really know what the Office of Extension does? But since that's what this presentation is about, let's get started. Here. So this is a little bit about my background. I'm a Northeast Ohio native. I like to say I had two career times in my life, pre-kids and post-kids, almost 40 years I've been in the workforce. So when I graduated from college, I worked in market research. I was in a loan department of a bank. I was an accountant, and then I was an alumni director. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my path as far as where I lived during all of this. After I had kids, I was in healthcare sales and marketing at then Medina Community Hospital or Medina General Hospital. Did that for a long time. Great job, great people I worked with there. Then I managed a staffing agency. I had a kind of a change in life and I needed to advance my career and my financial capacity quicker. So I managed a staffing agency. Then I worked in community outreach at Kent State. I worked in mergers and acquisitions at foundations here in Medina County, and I was their Northern Regional Sales Manager. As sales manager, I've sold pharmaceuticals, I've sold technology, I've worked for distributors, I've worked for manufacturers. I've worked in consulting, believe it or not, for McDonald's restaurants, for their franchise operators. I was employed by their corporate. And I've worked in extension. So I've worked in higher ed. I've done a lot of different things. So I tell you this so that I can kind of say that I've had a varied career path. And if somebody would have told me when I was in high school, all of these different things I would have been doing, my head probably would have spun. I'm glad I didn't see the way I went. But I've learned so much and I've navigated so much and I like adventure and I like to try new things. So I encourage you all to be curious in your lives and don't be scared to try something new. If you don't like it, you can always move on, but you learn so many new things. So in my life, I lived, I don't know if you can see the stars there. I've lived in Northeast Ohio. I've lived in Northwest Ohio. I was born and raised through through fifth grade in Berea, Ohio. And then my dad, who was a professor, we moved to Bowling Green and he was a professor there. Then I married my college sweetheart and moved to Chicagoland. I lived in DuPage County, just west of Chicago. From there, we moved to San Francisco, California. I didn't do a very good job of drawing this. I'm sure one of you could do better, but that's supposed to be taking me from Ohio to California, and then I come back and I'm all over the place. So then from San Francisco, we got moved back to Cleveland, Ohio, and I couldn't have been happier because all my family was here. And by that time, I had one child and was pregnant with my second child, and I like being around my family. So it was nice to come home. So from there, if you're not familiar with the term cooperative extension, I'm going to kind of educate you a little bit. Um, Cooperative extension, we're going to start with what a land grant university is. So back in 1862, we say thank you to President Lincoln and Congress at that time. Land grants were given to states, every single state, and have been since 1862 to provide funding for a university. Back in 1862, they wanted to teach agriculture, military tactics, mechanical arts, and classical studies to members of the working classes so they could obtain an education, but not have to pay for it, not have to go to Yale or Harvard. These were classes that were offered through these universities to keep people on the cutting edge of information. And this was the best way that Congress and the president thought they could do that. So the takeaway is starting in the 1800s, universities in each state were designated as land grant universities, and their job was to bring information to their communities that would keep them on the cutting edge of what they need to know. So another act in 1887 established agricultural experiment stations. So some of you may be familiar with the OARDC, the Ohio Agricultural Research and Development Center, that's located in Worcester. That was a product of the Hatch Act, and that exists across the country. Every single state has one to provide research on agriculture that can be used again to educate our farmers and our ag community. The Smith-Lever Act in 1914 established the Cooperative Extension Service. So that was more or less designed so that at the more granular level, people could be educated. And at that time is when extension offices began to pop up in the counties. So just so that you know, in Ohio, 88 counties, we have 88 extension offices. We have a presence, Ohio State has a presence in every single county to educate. Now, what that looks like looks different, and how it's funded is a little different. We're going to talk about that, but this is just kind of giving you some updates on how this works. So extension was established in 1914, and since then we have established offices in every single county that are charged with educating people and bringing information to them that they need to know and supporting them. For instance, when the whole issue happened in East Palestine with the train accident, all of our agents that were around there jumped in to help. At the state level, we provided support. We were there to provide support to the people there based on what we were able to offer through the university. So when the university started, it was called the Ohio Agricultural Mechanical Arts School or something like that. But since then, it's obviously been, and that was the late 1800s. Since then, it's devolved, it's grown, and there are many, many colleges in the university, and I'm sure you're familiar with many of them. Well, the College of Food, Agriculture, and Environmental Sciences was the kernel that started Ohio State University. That's what we were about. But since then, all these other colleges have been added, the College of Business, College of Arts and Sciences, and so forth. And the College of Food, Agriculture, and Environmental Sciences is one of those colleges at the university level. And then the college itself of Food, Agriculture, and Environmental Sciences is made up of many departments. And the Office of Extension, is one of the departments in the College of Food, Agriculture, and Environmental Sciences. And the Department of Extension has 4 program areas. One of them, I'm sure many of you are familiar with 4-H. One is agriculture and natural resources. So you're familiar with our folks that take care of our farmers. You may not have heard of family and consumer sciences. Through that, we teach things like fiscal literacy and parenting, and then community development, which is my job. And my job is really to find gaps in services and to provide to fill those gaps, or to create some type of a liaison between groups that can provide those services. So I do a lot of connecting in community development, and a lot of participating, and a lot of teaching. So in Ohio, we have 88 counties, we have 88 extension offices, and not every office has all 4 program areas. We are very fortunate in Medina County that our commissioners support 4 program areas, but in some counties, they only have 1 or 2. And the most frequently present program areas would be 4-H and agricultural and natural resources. And together they support that mission of extension. And we're going to look at that in a minute. So how we're paid is through the Farm Bill and through our local commissioners. This is a big, long code from the Ohio Revised Code, but basically our commissioners are asked to provide some of our support. The Farm Bill, again, when you think about all those acts that were formulated back in the 1860s and so on, those support us, and we get money through the state. So this is from the extension website at the national level, and you can see there's federal funding through the USDA and the NIFA grant, National Institute of Food and Agriculture, which is through the Farm Bill. Through the state gets money, and they pass that down to the land grant universities and our experiment stations. And then locally, we have local support. Some counties have levies that support extension. In Medina County, our commissioners support us. So with that said, all employees in the extension office are Ohio State University employees. In our Medina office, we have 4 educators, 1 in each of the 4 program areas, and we have 3 program assistants, 1 4-H program assistant, and 2 supplemental nutrition and assistant program assistants. We have an office assistant, which is a fancy word for receptionist. She greets our visitors and provides support to the 4 program areas. And we have an office associate who manages our office operations and all of our fiscal transactions. And again, we're supported, many of those, we're supported through the county, the state, and the federal. And so about 1/3 of our funding comes from state, 1/3 from the county, and 1/3 from federal funding. So 4-H, what do? I hope a lot of you know what we do. It's not just, you don't have to have an animal and you don't need to be a farmer. We have over 2,000 youth that are involved. We have multiple camps every summer. One is an overnight camp. We have a camp for little ones, ages 5 to 8, and a junior day camp for campers with special needs. We have a program called Car Teens that is a youth intervention program for first-time traffic offenders. And the great thing about 4-H is it really does develop leadership skills in youth. They are required to have projects, and that could be a farm animal, or it could be robotics or cake decorating. Their projects then are presented at the fair, and at that time they have to actually provide a presentation to a committee that will rank them and grade them. So they learn to present, and they learn Robert's rules of meetings when in their small groups and their clubs. So it's a great service for young folks, great opportunity. Then we have family and consumer sciences, and you can see we've taught real money, real world in many of the schools around the county. We do fiscal literacy. We partner with the schools for salsa nights and fun things like that, classes for seniors, pressure canner testing, and we did offer Zumba classes last year. Agriculture, we do all kinds of pesticide recertification and soil samples. We have Master Gardener volunteers who produce food and teach on food on gardening. We teach on the spotted lanternfly. Whatever is happening, if we need to teach on it, we bring it to our counties and educate. Community development, I'm really a big workforce development proponent. So I've been certified to teach about Mike Rowe and his work at sweat ethic education. And I've taught that at the County Detention Center and at Black River Schools. I'm involved with Cups Cafe. I've done multiple economic impact studies for Medina County Economic Development and received a grant to add solar panels and teach on solar energy. I'm teaching beginning grant writing and about broadband at the state level. And I also participated in our county ag day. And what I got to do was to teach how to extract DNA from strawberries. It's so fun. And the kids' eyes just light up. I just love doing that. So if you're interested in volunteering, we always have openings, Master Gardeners, 4-H, community development. You can take advantage of those opportunities by going online with the Master Gardeners or 4-H, and with me, you can give me a call. You'll have my contact information after this presentation. And these are our vision, mission, and values. Again, our mission is to create opportunities for people to explore how science-based knowledge can improve social, economic, and environmental conditions. We really do research-based information. When I taught on solar panels, it was not to promote them or to try to discourage people. It was to provide baseline information so you could make an educated decision on what you wanted to do. Upcoming on April 9th, I'm going to be teaching an identity theft class, identity theft, data breaches, and scams. And Gabby is going to be sending out the information for that. There's a very nominal fee. And we're going to have Thomas Condosta from the Medina County Prosecutor's Office. He's very well known on this topic, and it's very timely, and I encourage you to participate. And then on August 19th and September 23rd, I have Beginner's Guide to Grant Writing. So look for all that, and more will be coming.
Thank you, Kyle. We have one question in the chat. Is there a place where you can find local 4-H clubs?
It's on the 4-H website. Yes.
All right.
I'll put a link. Can I put a link in the chat with our website, with our office website, so people can go in there? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
All right, I'll do that now, and I'll stop sharing.
All right, thank you, Kyle. Next up, we have Pamela Sayers from Jobs for Ohio Graduates.
Good afternoon, everyone. While I'm finishing pulling up my screens, I want to say hi to Jen Brenner, and I love the flowers you have behind you. Those look amazing. And thank you, Kyle, for the information. I was the one asking about your 4-H clubs.
You are very welcome.
Perfect. All right, everyone can see my screen? Beautiful. All right, well, thank you so much. I'm Pamela Sayers. I'm with Jobs for Ohio's Graduates. Just a very brief overview about me. I know it's hard to tell, but this March I will be with JOG for 17 years. I started off as a career specialist in Summit County, then later was transferred to Medina County, a little nerdy and get into the federal compliance. So I now serve as the Director of Programming for Jobs for Ohio's Graduates. On a personal level, I live out in Wadsworth. I love it. I have twin boys who are 10 years old, hence why I want to know about the 4-H clubs, because I think this could be good for them. And I have a dog and a cat, and always staying busy with either work or my wonderful kids and my little family at home. So moving forward, Jobs for Ohio's Graduates, we go by JOG. No, we're not a running club. We're here for young adults, but we provide educational and workforce development opportunities. And we try to have a holistic approach to serving our young adults, specifically targeting those individuals who might not typically have access to opportunities in the educational workforce arenas. We were incorporated in 1987, and we are a nonprofit 501(c) organization. Our goal is to serve as many young people as possible, but we focus on youth who are 14 to 24 years of age, and our primary focus is young adults who are at risk or considered disadvantaged. Our mission is to help youth with multiple barriers to success to complete their education and transition to employment at a livable wage or post-secondary job training. We focus on making sure our young adults have the knowledge, the skills, the values, the attitudes and habits they need to become productive citizens within our societies and our local communities. We focus on collaborating with a diverse network of businesses, education, and different funding and servicing providers. Medina County, thank you to all of you. You guys have been fantastic on the employer arena. You have been amazing in helping our students have opportunities they might not otherwise have. We also work to remove barriers that they face on an educational or employment facing. We try to remove personal barriers that might also impact their education and workforce walk. And we are constantly trying to celebrate the achievements that they have as they're walking through the program. Ultimately, if you were to boil down all of our focuses, it would boil down to the 4 principles. We focus on improving basic skills, completing their high school diploma or its equivalent. We anticipate and respond to regional employment trends. We try to broker positive relationships in both the public and private sectors to help our young people have those opportunities, and we advocate for the mutual needs of the community and the participants which we serve. We have our primary service locations are actually in 5 different counties, and those are Ashland, Medina, Stark, Summit, and Trumbull. We do have a couple other ancillary counties that we do provide services in, and that's Greene, Columbiana, and Mahoning. Our primary service locations, which I have listed here on the screen, we have a county office, and most of those programs are fostered by a funding source that are called CCMEP, or Comprehensive Case Management Employment Program. We have 2 different types of programming that we run for young adults who are between 14 to 24 years of age. One is in-school programming, and the other one is out of school. As you can imagine, in-school programming tends to be a little more preventative in nature. We're working with young people while they're in their high school who have been labeled, if you will, as needing additional services. Out of school tends to be a little more reactive. These are young adults who have disengaged from high school, or they have graduated but still need some direction in where they're moving to. While we have our main office in each of the counties that we serve, we do have satellite locations. Generally speaking, those are going to take place at local high schools. In Medina County, there's a specialist from JOG housed in all of the schools with the exception of Black River and Highland. So for a young person, ultimately, we are serving, we have several free services that are offered to our young people. Those come in the form of career coaching, adult mentorship, support to get their high school diploma, tutoring support for their GED or high school equivalency, job linkage, job placement, tutoring, study skills, job development, leadership development, career development. So figuring out what they want to do, to where they want to go. A lot of our young people don't know about a lot of the different careers that are available to them. So we do a lot of exposure for them. And we also focus on financial literacy. Additionally, we have a competency-based curriculum, and it boils down to a handful of different classifications, those being career development, job search, job survival, basic skills, leadership, and personal. We also want, if it is appropriate for that young person, we do provide services to help them transition into post-secondary education or post-secondary training opportunities that they may have. So what does this look like for our young people? They see one-on-one sessions. They may have small groups. In some schools, we have an actual classroom where they receive credit. In Medina County, the only school district we have that is actually at Wadsworth, where they get to participate in the JOG class. They get credits towards their graduation, and they also get to work on their readiness seal, which is fantastic. We do employer tours, we do workshops. We have 2 really big events that we do every year. Those are our Leadership Development Conference and our Career Development Conference. We also have a work experience placement. So that's where a young person would go on our payroll, and we place them with local employers so they can get tangible, real life, hands-on experience with local employers while receiving some pay. We also do 12-month follow-up. And depending on the funding stream that they are with, there may be incentives that they receive as they're working towards their goals. So if there's a young person who's interested in being in the program, there's a couple of different ways this goes. But ultimately, a young adult is either referred to us here at JOG, or they're a walk-in. For those individuals, young adults may be referred, and these can come in a lot of different ways. This might be from their teachers, counselors, Job and Family Services, other local community-based organizations, Ohio Means Jobs, justice agencies, etc. For that initial interaction, we're sitting down with a young person, we pair them up with a career specialist. They have different experiences depending on how they're getting engaged. So they might be referred where we just go find them and we're starting that one-on-one. Sometimes we're doing outreach and workshops where they would then meet that career specialist, and later we set up that one-on-one. But ultimately the goal is to meet with them one-on-one because we want to learn more about them. We want to find out about what they're interested in, what goals they have, what they're hoping to gain from the program, what their long-term goals are. And depending on how those conversations go, we begin to move forward. From there, pending that they're interested and they believe they would be they would benefit from being in the program, they would start enrollment. After those conversations, we're completing the necessary documentation as it relates to our funding sources. We'll have, if they're a minor, we're going to be collecting parents' signatures, necessary documentation to verify the things that they're saying. And then from there, I think that's actually where the real fun begins, because all the other stuff isn't as exciting, right? No one likes paperwork. But we then get to start building their individualized opportunity plan or their development plan. And this is a reflection of all the conversations we've had with them up to this point. But from there, we get to start mapping out what their goals actually look like. So ideally, they're going to have a long-term goal, and there's going to be short-term goals that line up to that. And then we get to break down those goals. We create SMART goals, and we start working out how this should look as they navigate through the program. Something else that I think is really fantastic that we do is we create what-if plans as we're developing their individual opportunity plan, because life happens. We all have life happen, things that we didn't expect come up. So we have our young people start thinking about things that could come up as they're working toward this, and then how are they going to navigate that? How can we help them navigate through this? That way, when those things come up, they don't get discouraged and they can keep moving forward on working towards their goals. Once we have that plan completed, it's implemented, we constantly are working through this with them. It has to be modified as they're attaining their goals or if their goals shift. But ultimately, we want to have this plan get executed until they complete the program. And then from there, they would move into 1 year of follow-up with us, where we follow them for an additional year, obviously. And we check in with them once a month to make sure everything is going well. These are just some of the fun faces. Everyone always wants to know what success looks like. For every kid, success can look very different. Some kids' success starts out looking like they're showing up for class, or they're coming in regularly to meet with us. For some, it's passing that first GED test, or it's passing that class in high school that they were struggling with. Bigger successes that we obviously like to brag about, which, as you can see in a lot of these pictures here, they're young people getting their high school diplomas, it's getting their GED, it's entering the workforce and getting their first ever job, and being told that they do matter, that they do have skills that they can offer and are a benefit, not just to them, not just their employer, but their communities and their family. Sometimes it's post-secondary education. Success comes in a lot of ways, but obviously we're Jobs for Ohio's graduates, so we do put a big emphasis on employment because we want them to have the skills that they need that are going to allow them to go the rest of their lives. If anyone is interested, we have a couple main offices, as I alluded to earlier. This is the addresses on where they can be located. I do have our email there, and we're basically on every social media platform. So it's really easy to find us. And that's all I got.
Thanks, Pamela. Next up, and last but not least, we have Steve Paucsh from That Place for Teens.
All right, well, I think you all, Kyle, are you ready to just show that video now to start? Evan?
Yep, give me 1 second. I'll share my
Okay,
screen.
Gabby, you got it. All right, great. right, well, thank you. Thank everyone for being here today. I think, the two of you ahead of us, Kyle, I've had, all of my children have been involved in 4-H, so I understand that. And Pam, I think we're gonna figure out how to send a bunch of the kids that we work with to be a part of what you're doing. So thank you both for what you are doing. My name is Steve Paucsh. I've been involved with this organization for over 35 years. And it's just something, so we are a faith-based nonprofit organization, as you probably read through that. Our overarching organization is called Youth for Christ, which is a worldwide organization. We are part of that. We have 2 teen centers in Medina. One is in Wadsworth and one is here in Brunswick, where I'm at today. In Brunswick, we are right across from the middle school, and in Wadsworth, we're located just to the west of the square. For me, I've been married for 35 years. My wife and I have 6 children. Our youngest is a junior in high school, and we have 2 grandchildren that are 2 and under. So we stay busy with that. And our organization here, we have been in this building in Brunswick. We opened up in October of 2019, signed all the leases right before the whole COVID thing happened. And so then we tried to meet with kids and all that through the Zoom calls and all those things through that time, and stayed open, and we're able to do that. And the garage in Wadsworth, which is actually an old garage, and that building, we have been there since 2005. And we also have a house. So here we meet with middle schoolers and high schools several days during the week in Brunswick. And in Wadsworth, we meet many days a week. We have a high school group that meets. We have middle school group. We have a teen mom group that meets. We also provide all kinds of things for them with babies and that. We have all the diapers. We have all the clothes. We have a lot of that in the whole center. We also have an entire basement is full of dresses and suits for kids who can't afford to go to their dances and can't afford to get the dresses. So we do to that. Our target audience is a kid who would never go to church unless someone takes them. So our goal is to get kids involved in church, but we don't want to take the church kids. We understand that that's where it's already happening. And so we've been, it's been an opportunity to be able to work with kids. We don't just bring them in here and sit them down and yell at them about what it means to be a Christian or any of that. That's not what we are. We're all about relational ministry. We sit with kids at our teen center on Brunswick Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have middle schoolers who come over right after school. We've got a team of people over here. We've got all kinds of activities you may be able to see behind me. We've got a 9 square in the air game that the Home Depot put up for us, where it's kind of like a volleyball and a 9 square all together. The kids get all excited about that. We've got the pool tables and air hockey and all that. We've got places for them to sit and do homework. It's a place where they can just come and feel safe and sit down and do whatever they want. And then we'll have a dinner, and we've got people who bring that in. We've got restaurants who do it. We've got other volunteers who do it. We've got churches who take that on. Because we found one of the things that was really missing in life is that families don't seem to have the time anymore to sit down and eat dinner. They don't have that. And so we wanted to incorporate that. And so we sit down at tables, one adult with 4 or 5 kids at a table. We give them, it's not a huge full course meal, but it's just something to eat until they get home. And we talk about all kinds of different things. We talk about whatever it is. If it's a current event, we talk about that. We talk about biblical values someday. What are some of those things to be, we've talked about suicide when there was a young person who did that. So we give them a place to talk. We make that a priority. They can pass at any time, but we really try to get them to do it. We like to think that we're the ones who ask the next question. We don't just say, how are you? And then we go on. We want to find out what's really going on. What is really happening in their life? And so we do that as best you can around a table of 6 kids who are going to make jokes and do everything else. But our real goal is to be able to take kids out, sit down for dinner. We raise money for that. And so we will take 1 adult and 2 kids and go out somewhere where you would sit down for dinner, like an Applebee's or a place like that. We find most of our kids haven't done that before. They go out for whatever it is, McDonald's, but they don't sit down. And the reason we do that is you've got to order your food and then you've got to wait. That gives us time to really talk about their life and really dig into what's going on. And we've got series of questions that we kind of work through to find out about their family, their life, their interests, all those kind of things. And we've never had a kid leave before their dinner comes. So that's worked pretty good. It's been pretty effective. One of the funny stories is a kid ordered a salad one day and they asked what kind of dressing, and they really had no idea. They just said, I like the orange stuff. So So we're trying to get them some experiences like that. But the real purpose of that is to sit down and find out who they are, let them know how much we care, and be able to talk through life's things. So we find that out, and we can help them, and we can point them to wherever they need to go for other help if they need it, if it's outside what we're doing. But that's one of the things that we like to do. And so we're trying to get every kid that comes here, sit down with an adult, with a friend. They can bring a friend. Sometimes they win a game and get to go to dinner, but it's all for the purpose of being able to go out and sit down and talk with them. Our Teen Moms program just kind of helps that with everything. They have a small group that meets, and they sit down and go through all the kind of things that are happening with them and help them. And we also have just started a Teen Dads program that's a part of that. So those fathers come in and meet with a guy, and they do all those things. So trying to really impact the things that are helping them. And so that we do some trips, we go away for different things. We do a lot of appointments with kids outside of that. And we do some events. We've done events here in our buildings and things that go like that. So if there's anyone who is interested in helping out in any way, we do. As I mentioned, one of the biggest things you could do is help with the meal. If you like cooking and you want to bring a meal for 20, 25 kids, doesn't have to be anything fancy. That would be great. If you want to just buy some pizzas, that's a way you can do it too. But we do have the buildings, and we understand those are all, the expenses that go with that. But we've been very blessed to have some churches help us and individuals. And so we're just here for the kids. We all understand what it was like. We remember what it was like to be a teenager, to have those questions and all that. And we find that a lot of kids today, they talk very fluently on the internet with everybody in social media, but they can get all kinds of opinions that come back. Anything they want to find an answer to, someone would validate that. And so we want to kind of help redirect them, help give them the truth, help share those things in life that are important, and help them understand the importance of family and future. And we also work on goals and what do you want to be tomorrow. So we're lucky to do that. And that's where we do it here in Brunswick and in Wadsworth. So thank you very much for being on this call today. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Steve. Gabby should now launch a poll. Kind of just let us know how what you thought. And I just got one myself, so I guess I will fill that out real quick. As you're filling out the evaluation poll, does anybody have any questions for any of the presenters? Steve, Kyle, and Pamela, do you have any last thoughts you'd like to leave the group with?
No, but thank you all for your time. It's greatly appreciated.
Thanks for being here. All right, as everybody's finishing up those evaluation polls, we'd like to thank all our nonprofits who participated this year. If you missed any of the series, the videos can be found on our website. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I found that very informative, very interesting.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a good day.